budget work session for the city of Utica, April 24th, 2025. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Assistant Chief Plant, would you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Madam Clerk, will you call roll, please?
Terenzi.
Yeah.
O'Donnell. Deanne.
Here.
Backus.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Mayor Calendino.
Here. One missing, but we do have a quorum. We won't be voting on anything, so it doesn't matter if we have a quorum. What this is kind of our wrap-up budget work session. We changed things up the way we did it this year, and at the end of the meeting, I'm going to be asking for feedback, so think about how you feel this went this year. We had an initial meeting where we kind of threw everything against the wall, all the department heads, council members, maybe even some members of the public, and we tried to do as much as we could. We took that away. I came up with a spreadsheet that showed everything that had been requested during that meeting. We were, I believe it was $1.4 million of
Yeah, it was.
possible asks, which obviously that was not going to work in our budget. So we got revenue numbers from Phil, the finance director, and I started whittling away. I worked with the department heads to figure out, where we could make adjustments. And we got to a place where we were at $41,400 net revenue. There's really two key numbers that I was looking at when I was making the cuts. If you look on this packet, on page 2, row 68, column E, currently it says $172,190. When I did my first round of cuts, I got it to $41,400. The other key number that we really need to keep track of is row 73, column E, which is surplus as a percentage of operating expenditures. If you remember, we adopted the capital improvement fund, and our goal is to keep our surplus above 40%. So those were the two guiding numbers that I was looking at when I was making the cuts. Maybe the final number, and it was less of a governing number, but when we adopted our budget last year, that final net revenue number was $38,090. So I also didn't want to go below that number. So as I mentioned, I got everything down to very close to that $38,090 or $900. I got it to $41,400. After doing that, Phil brought it to my attention that we had an adjustment in some revenue numbers from the city assessor. So the numbers you see now on page 2 of that packet, row 68, column E, it's now $172,190. So there is some room to bring back some of the cuts that I needed to make with the revenue numbers that I had at the time when I did my adjustments. My goal personally would be to keep that net revenue somewhere between 50 and 100,000, hopefully closer to the 100,000. But our goal is to try to get as much done for our residents and for our departments as we can. There are a couple items that I know right off the bat that we have to roll back into the budget. One is $5,000 for fire insurance. We became aware from the union that we needed to raise our life insurance policy for our fire employees. Lori did a great job getting quotes from our insurance agent, several different scenarios. The scenario that works best for the city and for our fire would raise our budget approximately $5,000. So that number needs to go back. Another number that I know absolutely needs to go back is training for our police. When I did my meetings with the department heads post cuts, Chief Kuzny let me know that I got a little too close to the bone on is training, I believe it was training, right, Chief?
Yes.
So can you tell us what that number is that we need to,
Yes, so, it's our meeting and training line item.
can you give us a page reference from this packet here?
So maybe 183? Yep. 182, I'm sorry.
The page
So-
number's in the top right corner.
Oh, page 9, and then, should be on the very left, the cell number is 182.
182.
So it's, 957-000, the meeting and training.
And I had cut that to 17,000, right?
Correct, yes, and I had 22. So this is typically, this is where we take funds to send our officers to training, to cover the overtime for training, or I'm sorry, to send them to classes, pay for the classes, stuff like that. So, we've done good with some of the MCOL's continuing education training funds, so I've tried to balance them, but there's things that, like our firearms training isn't counted by that and stuff, so. Yeah, I'd really like to have that help. We got a whole bunch of new officers and a whole lot of things we need to get.
So we need to return that to,
The 22
22?
would be ideal, yes.
so 5,000, we need to roll back 5,000 bucks, right? So we know for sure we need 10,000 so far. This sheet that I gave I put on everybody's desk, there's a front and a back. This was my cuts, and if you look at the third column, this is from that initial meeting, what each department head and council member requested. The column after that, the head reads adjusted. If there's a number there, that's what I left in. If it's blank, I cut everything from it. If it's less, I cut some from it. The adjusted column is where it landed after that round of cuts I did.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
To try to save everybody the grief, probably the easiest two things, fire, really, we didn't cut anything. We cut the deck because we're gonna try to get a grant for that, right? The deck repairs, I think I left everything else intact. I know Chief Wilczek made some adjustments that are already in this budget. So I know that, I'm assuming you're okay with everything in your budget at this point? With the amount of money we've got to work with, the two big projects that were cut were the parking pad behind City Hall that Chief Kaluzny had asked for, and several items that Superintendent Diamond asked for. Probably the biggest one would be a new vehicle, a new truck. Again, if you look at this, I sorted everything by priorities on this sheet. So if you look in column 2 where it says priority, everything's sorted by the top priorities. So you can see I tried to leave intact their top priorities and I cut from the lower numbers. One of the things that Superintendent Diamond had asked for at a higher priority was the storage structure. That was cut, and then also his vehicles. If you look down again on this sheet, it's DPW parks towards the bottom of page 1. We cut that. That was his top priority for DPW parks, and that's cut completely. We also cut the mulch, and I believe you wanted some of that rolled back too. Isn't that right, Bill?
Yes.
So I think our biggest decisions we need to make, do we want to do the parking pad behind City Hall, or do we want to give, allocate budget money for DPW items such as another vehicle, another service truck, or perhaps his storage structure that he's talking about? So, Bill, would you like to make your pitch about what your priorities?
Sure. I did make some adjustments in the streets that the mayor is referring to about the storage structure. But the service truck, it was requested because IP40, which is one of our parks trucks, even though it's just allocated, it's in a park asset. It is our oldest everyday, our daily fleet vehicle. It's a 2000. It does currently have an oil leak that we have to tend to. It does need new tires. It has U-joint issues and small electrical issues. Obviously, we've been keeping it on the road because it's a daily one. So when the mayor asked for certain things, this was something that I definitely looked into possibly replacing. There would be one that either would be traded in or we would auction. I would assume we'd probably get around 5,000 for it. New vehicles that we're looking to were anywhere from 70,000 to 80,000. That's including a plow, because we do use that truck to plow as well. It was also spoke about possibly doing it on a finance like the police did with their vehicles. I spoke to Phil. It's not something he would like to see. He'd rather see it be a one-time payment, so we're done with it, which I'm fine with that. But obviously, it is something that is used daily. It's it's not just for parks. We use it through the winter. We use it for, and each truck it's tooled out for whatever it's used for. So parks, it is it does have a lot of the lawn equipment in it, what summer ends, spring ends, or fall ends. That it gets used throughout the year. Again, it's 2000. It is our oldest everyday fleet vehicle. We did purchase a new service truck and a new water van back in, I think it was 2022, which we're trying to get out the fleet. I did talk to the mayor about now with the capital improvement plan, looking into the future, knowing, okay, this is the next vehicle that's going to be needing to be replaced. Let's think about putting money for that. So that's why that was put down there, being that it's the oldest. It's I can't tell you how much of more truck maintenance will go into it this year, but I am going to assume if we want to keep it on the road, we're going to be looking at new tires. We are going to be looking at U-joints fixed, and figuring out what the oil leak is. We mend it when we see it, but do we want to put what kind of money it might need to be put into it? And obviously, these are things that my mechanic can do, but it's buying the parts and having it done.
And we left the engine hoist in, right?
The engine hoist we left in, yes. Thank you. The only thing on the engine hoist is that it was for streets. It had for 30,000, and it should just be 15,000 because it's split between. The 30,000 was the total price, and we split it in it between streets and water, so that 30,000 that you have should actually be 15,000.
But there's nothing added to water right now.
Nothing
Just
is
about
no
on this list.
correct. Yeah, if you look on water, you have you have it as 15,000. I'm sorry, I could look at.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is listed 15 for.
Right, and so it should be 15,000 on DPW, on the streets as well.
Got it. And that would take, so the new truck would take priority over the storage structure for now?
I would say so, just for the fact that we use that every day. We are running out of room with equipment over there. I did revamp numbers on the streets, possibly doing Connex boxes to switch out some of the trailers that are busted through and where we keep a lot of our other equipment, which would help get us down the line. And then we'd have the Connex boxes, we can move them and think about adding a cover to them, because that's what it is. That's basically what the storage shelter that I'm looking at is, getting two Connex, which are two, train trailers. Is that what you call them? Okay. Mail vans?
Mill
Mill vans? Okay. We call them Connex boxes in our biz. So that's something that we can look at down the line as well.
So hypothetically, if we put the truck on hold, would it last another year?
I think it would last, I mean, we could get it, we definitely could keep it another year. I don't see where it's going to be on the shelf and be done with it. I mean, we do take care of our vehicles, and we make sure, you know, we do our monthly checks. Oil changes are done regularly. We do, you know, we check our tires. You know, the guys that stay up on all that. We have detailed fleet inspection reports that are done monthly. Anything that needs to be maintained or repaired, then our mechanic handles those to the point where he can, or it gets taken out. And by that time, when it gets taken out, it's gonna be something that has to come in front of you for repair anyways.
What's a real number to keep it maintained for this season?
I'm sorry?
What's a real number to keep that truck maintained?
Tires, usually, it's
Tires,
everything.
brakes.
Yeah, I mean, tires have been going up for, we're looking at that probably. What, for just the tires? Oh, yeah, I would say 1,200 for the tire. U-joints, I'm not sure. Probably 5,000 to put in just for that vehicle,
Okay.
you know?
But your mechanic can probably, is it Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon,
He
yeah.
can probably handle that in his wheelhouse?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yep.
But is that money in the budget somewhere?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
Well, I mean, that's just in normal. I mean, I would probably want to bump up truck maintenance a little bit on parks, but I have to look at it because we only have the 2 vehicles in parks, so the equipment, the truck maintenance on that should probably cover it, but I just wouldn't want to go to bare bones on one vehicle right away as well. So I would have to look at it and readdress that if that's the route we go.
Okay, but you are just going,
in truck maintenance.
Okay, so this one, so that's kind of what we've been on that, but now that
What was that
it has
for?
been
We've
addressed.
only got
What page is it?
1,500 in vehicle maintenance.
so then we have to bump that up.
That would have to be
What
bumped
page
up
is that?
to do these.
3,500 to
yeah.
get it to 5,000.
Well, then I would request 5,000, I would go to 6,500 in vehicle maintenance, just so we can get
Okay. Okay.
those replaced.
So, Bill, getting back to your 16-ton engine hoist, 15,000, where did you have that in your street budget? Because I see under equipment purchases, on page 13, column G, row 130, $0, and it's highlighted, so it looks like the mayor took that out.
Well, you had told me to move that to equipment, maintenance, I believe that was. I have, on an email sent, that one you said that to go to equipment maintenance.
I wouldn't have thought I would tell you to put that, I would have thought I would tell
I
you
didn't hear the line though.
to purchase.
Well, that's, how I believe that's where I originally had it.
Under maintenance.
Yeah, I originally had it there, but I'm positive that I was
Can I
moved.
get the page and line item?
It was
13.
under property acquisition for the new storage build. Oh, you're saying
13
the hoist, where is that? You see it?
Upper right corner, 13?
Corner.
Well,
Oh, it's streets
Why is it
and,
Yeah, mine says
Printed
street.
these things all off today.
Mine says street.
streets and,
Bring that one.
Oh, it's one from earlier.
and
It's not the one you found on your desk, on the table this morning.
Phil, what line item was it?
Yeah, it is,
13 what?
'cause I brought this one.
13,
Yep, I got street. And then what was line?
line item 130.
Thank you, sir. I see equipment purchases.
I don't have anything in here but a.
I have it in, equipment maintenance, 101-441-931-000 is where the hoist.
okay.
931, and that went down to 6,000.
Right, because then it was removed after it was taken out.
So it's not reflected in this budget, so if we're getting the hoist, we need to put 15,000 in.
Is it 30? Is it 15 per channel?
And that's in
The
line
last
107,
budget,
Phil?
yeah, the last budget I
Well,
sent
it should
you.
be line 130.
Oh, I'm looking at mine, not what he's got.
He put it under 107, but there's nothing under 107, there's 6,000.
So it's 30,000 total, right? 15 from one,
15 from water.
streets, 15
I don't
from
know why
water.
his numbers are different than mine. I'm not sure if this is the most updated one that I sent you, Phil, because that is the number on here, because I'm looking at the ones I had printed out. And I'm
Yeah.
showing 21,000 in
The ones you
equipment.
printed out were before the mayor started pulling stuff.
Okay,
I'm going off of.
The ones I
mayor's-
sent you Friday, Bill,
Okay.
those should be the most up to date.
all right. I can't see that.
Well, we can add that back in. I mean, that'll become part of our 171,000 we need to get to.
We need to get to 171,000, okay, I thought you wanted to keep it.
100, well, no, I mean, that's our total. I'd like to
I thought you
not
wanted
go
to
below
40. Is that what you said?
50 to
This is-
100 is where I'd like to
They
get.
should all be.
This is what we got now.
So you want to use it 50 to 100
Yeah.
and keep 72? Or more?
No, we can, yeah, we can reallocate 72,000. That would get us down to 100 net revenue.
That's not very much.
Well, we started last year with 38,000.
Right. Okay.
Well, I think where we're at is we should add in the 15 grand back into line 130. Does everyone agree about that?
Then where's that 15 coming from?
Is that where it's going to, is the equipment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another, is that the 15, the other half in
In
water?
water.
Thing out.
And it's there
So
already?
you got that right, Phil?
Yeah.
The other half should come out of water, the other 15 grand?
Yeah.
Regrettably, it's not very
And just so everybody knows, what we have here is just the general fund budget, so it doesn't include water, sewer,
Oh, that's right.
what else, Phil? MBA,
Major local streets.
major local streets.
Liquor, drug.
This is just the general fund budget that we're looking at.
Oh, we have a water budget.
See, in his notes, he's got it.
Yeah, we don't have water, with those other accounts, we don't have tonight, just the general fund. Are you all right, Bill?
Yeah, yeah.
So we're in agreement, to put another $15,000 on the street fund budget.
Yep.
Thank you.
That was line 130.
Yeah.
So that's 981, Phil, is what that'll go to?
Yes.
All right.
Line 130, 44198.
Thank you.
So we're at 147,190 with those three items. So depending on where we want to land, you know, if it's 100,000 or 50,000. If it's 100,000, we've got $47,190 left.
Left, right. Which is about what we
Is
had.
there anything else? Bill, I know you and I talked about some of that miscellaneous equipment, the bucket for the and I'm looking at, on DPW streets, priority 8 through 13. Mm-hmm. You said some of that you actually have in the budget for this, you have
The
money
smaller
available.
ones, yeah, the plasma cutter trailer barrels, I can get those. I actually have those, could be budgeted in the traffic services right now. Only reason I did this for this one is because I wanted to allocate the exact, for those things. But traffic services, I do have money budgeted for that. The backhoe, the smaller backhoe, I don't have budgeted for this one. That one was requested because the new backhoe that we have, it came with 2 great buckets, but we realized not having the smaller bucket for the smaller jobs, we're digging up more, restoration is more, and the smaller 24-inch bucket will help with that. So I did get a quote for, I think it was $2,800 from AIS where we purchased it. So that's why I put that back in. It would be, again, that is a want, it's not a need. I mean, we have done the small ones with the larger bucket, but if something was gonna be, that would be something that would definitely help.
Would that be a priority above any of the other things on your list?
Out of 8 through 13, that would be the priority out of the other ones.
We cut the plow and tires.
Oh, the plow and tires, we definitely need those. I mean, if that's, because that's
That
our
was
main.
priority 5.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
you don't.
number
do you-
5.
I don't think you have this sheet, right?
Yeah, I have that one.
Do you?
I just put it larger and just put mine on it. So I have you $15,000,
I have $8,000 for plow and tires.
plow and tires. That is quoted for, that is for our main, salt truck. That's our first one that we come out, it does all the majors. That does need new plow and tires on it.
And 8,000 is a real number?
Yep, it was 70, I think 800.
So
That's
where-
the 7,800 was in a month and a half ago, so I'm hoping by July.
So do you know where that went? What line that was?
That one would be in, that should be in equipment, that should be in truck maintenance.
So 102? Page
That
13?
is, same thing, 931, that's,
860 truck maintenance.
Yeah, line 102, page 13.
25,000.
yeah.
It looks like it wasn't done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't cut it here.
Right,
So you're good at 25 grand?
Yep.
Just leave that?
yep.
Okay.
So we plug that back in there?
We don't need to. It never got,
Never
from
got
this, it
Okay.
didn't get cut. This was my initial run.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it might not jive 100%, to be honest.
I think that's one thing that the residents really appreciate is the ability to have amazingly plowed
Yeah.
streets. That's one thing that's touted, here in Utica that you can't say about Shelby or Sterling Heights.
And we did remove the light poles moves, because we're hoping to get a grant for that, right?
Yes, then that.
So
we
that
should know
doesn't hurt
by
you.
the end of this month.
So that kind of brings us back to
It's not that
the
one.
bucket for backhoe at
You
3
want-
grand. And where would that go? That'd be equipment purchases?
I would think the same place, right? 131.
I would say that would be equipment purchase, Phil, right? Because that would be an asset going to the vehicle.
I would agree with that.
981, yep.
So we bumped that already to 15,000. Would we agree to add another 3,000 to that to make it 18,000? So we're adding 3,000. Which gets us to 144, 190.
I must be missing something. What are you? I don't see that. I got 5,000 for EMS, fire EMS insurance. I got 5,000 for police training. I got 5,000 for vehicle maintenance in the Parks Department,
15,000 for the hoist.
15,000 for the hoist, and 3,000 for the backhoe.
I've got
Something else?
5, 5, 15, and 3.
Yep, that's what I have too.
I got 555, 15, and 3.
Do
So
you got
that's
the
an
insurance in
extra
there?
5.
What
Fire
did-
insurance was the first one.
I've got 5 for fire insurance, 5 for police meeting and training, 15 for hoist, and 3 for the bucket.
Well, I thought we added 5 in the Parks Department for vehicle maintenance for that truck, if we were deferring purchasing a new truck.
Oh, I don't think we
I don't think we
I don't
decided
think we-
that.
yeah.
That decision?
I think we're just saying
Oh,
that-
I think we're
that's
still
a
trying to
pro-
see if we could buy a
That's a
truck.
proposed,
Okay.
that's a proposed fee.
Okay.
So if we bought the truck, you wouldn't need that bump of 5 grand, right, Bill?
Right.
But he would need the bump of 75.
Yeah.
And the truck would be 75,000 split across,
No, that would just be parks. It would just be an asset for parks, replacing a parks fleet vehicle that's an asset.
So expensive for trucks.
I think we just go for the new truck. Does anybody have any strong feelings on that? It's a 2,000, you
It's
said.
served its time. There's no doubt.
Chief Klusny's raising his hand.
There goes your parking lot. Sorry, Matt.
Chief wants it for his personal.
See, if you're not gonna be able to speak, there's nothing left.
Nothing left for you, sir.
Council, any comments?
We wanna hear from everybody before we make decisions? To make our decision?
Sure.
I think that's fair.
What's the remaining economic life of that truck? What can you sell it for?
He said 5.
5,000.
5,000?
Say 5, with what the things have been going on auction and a trade-in value.
So the big thing was either the parking lot or the truck, I mean,
I think we're back to that, right?
that's the bottom line, it's either the parking lot or the truck.
And the truck would take us under 100,000.
Can we play the part where we say truck this year, parking lot next year? I mean, give one, or do we?
I talked to Chief, and this is my opinion. That's why we've got 7 members. This is my opinion. That whole lot probably has a 5-year lifespan, right? It's starting to spider crack, and once it spider cracks, you're not patching it anymore. It's just, like, if you go look at the American Legion parking lot right now, that's probably 3 years ahead of ours, maybe 5 years ahead of ours. It's falling apart, right? All these spider cracks, water gets down in there. There's not really a good way to crack seal it anymore. It's just disintegrating. So my personal belief is we should hold off on that and do everything the right way. Do the whole big municipal lot, do the pad that Chief Klusny's asking, do fences, do the carports, do the fob or keypad, because I believe we'd get a lower cost if we were doing the whole lot and doing that parking pad, rather than just the pad. The other aspect of that is, if we start rolling heavy equipment on this lot in the shape it's in, it's just gonna disintegrate
More.
even quicker, But that's just my opinion.
So,
But if we hold off, we gotta find a way to plan to do it, right? There has to be a plan in place. We're gonna do it in 3 years, or, at 3 years, we're gonna be prepared to do it. If the lot hasn't fallen apart the way I'm thinking it will have, and we got another year or two, then we wait. But we can't wait to start allocating money and saving money for that project.
plus we have the capital improvement plan. I mean, can we not use some of that money towards that when the time is
can.
right? Not this year, but in 3 years, when the time is right, if we keep putting into that capital improvement plan, that's what it's for. It's not to be sitting there forever and ever, it's to improve our city.
Yep.
Correct? So we will, in fact, have the money, hypothetically, if we do correct budgeting as we have for the last 3 years.
Unless some other huge project comes up that we have to address.
Then it'll just come up at budget time and you'll have to be begging again.
I totally agree with the idea of mobilizing the whole asphalt crew to do one lot versus the other. They like to come at one time, and you're talking like, it's $15,000 to mobilize, just to move the equipment.
Just to get them staged.
It's $15,000 just to bring them here.
Right.
And if we're gonna pay $15,000, might as well do it one shot,
I agree.
so, I mean, and I might be off on it, it could be more expensive. I know, just to get the heavy equipment here, it's a lot. In milling, just that part alone, getting it down and then resurfacing it, you're looking at big dollars to make that happen. I would say that we do the best we can with, look at the truck realistically, and then coming back to revisit the police parking lot when it's most
In a couple
appropriate.
years.
Yeah, I think that's probably best.
What's the benefit of the parking lot? To free up parking spots and then security?
So I can,
Take the mic, chief.
thank you. So benefit of this parking lot is kind of twofold. The idea is, and this is something when Councilman Dion was mayor, his big thing was he had us move all our personal vehicles to the back over here and stuff. So the idea is we're gonna build a municipal lot, police are gonna be able to park their personal vehicles there. Our patrol vehicles that aren't going out on the road are gonna be in a nice secure lot. City Hall will be able to park there. If you came in this evening, it was kinda hard to find parking spots over there. So we're taking we're putting all the municipal employees, all the police stuff in a nice enclosed, secure lot, so we don't have to worry about stuff getting wrong, anybody trying to break in. And then we're also opening up all these parking spots for the businesses and the residents and stuff, and people that come here, because it's not being used by our personal cars. It's open up, you know, for Mr. Miguel's and everybody
And
else.
that's probably 15 spots throughout the day.
Oh, easy, yeah, between us and City Hall and stuff. So, I mean, it's opening up like 30-some parking spots back there and stuff. So, you know, come for council meeting, council can park, you know, so you know we have a guaranteed parking spot in there.
Do you have the breakdown of the asphalt and the fence and all that?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
We get that
All
at
that,
council, maybe.
I can go to my
Yeah, I
PowerPoint
would-
if you want, I can.
I think, wasn't it 110?
But it was, so the breakdown was, it was 105,000 was my quote. Now granted, this quote was November, I think, is when I got it. So when I put in the budget, I put it at 115, just kind of figuring. But yeah, it was, going in, smoothing out the land, removing the trees, fencing, carports, and then a key fob entry and exit, and a movable gate, drainage, and then moving the dumpster. So where the dumpster is right now is where the entrance to the parking lot would be, and they were gonna move the dumpster in the back corner, which if you look at that parking space in the back corner, it's kinda janky. It doesn't really give, like, people park on an angle and stuff over there.
Right.
So it's moving our dumpster there, and it's giving us, you know, direct access into the lot. And I know me and Bill had talked, not to, you know, I know I'm taking money from his vehicle here by speaking.
No, I'm actually
but-
just gonna back you when you were done, so.
But we've also talked to, you know, how can you better stripe the parking lot to get better efficiency and more parking spots in there? Because
How many
that's
spots
the
were you
one thing we're
talking?
missing.
How
I'm
many
sorry?
spots were you talking back here?
Thinking it'd be about.
30.
30.
Yeah, I think it was about 30.
We, Mayor and I kind of discussed a temporary parking spot. Is cut all the area out and put millings down temporarily. And that would kind of open up a little more parking until we decide to do the whole, I don't know what that would cost. Probably wouldn't be that drastic.
We still have millions, don't we, left over from Messmore? and-
We use most of them at the yard to level out ours, but yeah,
Okay.
we have some, we'd have to.
Could we get our hand on some of that 696 milling that's gonna be happening? I mean, that's probably. on the-
Sometimes
that's
they'll
probably
give it to you
on
for
the
There's
docket.
some,
Yeah.
but there is some earthwork though and trees that gotta come down.
Right.
So I.
There is some cost, I know.
Yeah.
They're
so,
ready to rebuild 696 here.
And I wanted to add also, it will also help the library as well, because they have an issue with the water running to them. Once a pad is on, put the right way, it will help drainage go toward the ditch and back, and to the sewers that are in the parking lot right now. So that was one thing that we discussed when we went back there, when this thought originally came to mind, so.
We touched on the idea too, when, and if that parking area does happen, which frees up greater parking in the municipal lot. We did talk potentially about the idea of making it a paid parking space too, which could recoup some of the dollars that could, for the cost of the parking pad for the police and city hall workers. And who knows? Other municipalities do it, we've not, but I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, or maybe an option where we validate city, people that are patronizing city offices or patronizing the businesses. But if you're Jimmy John's
Yeah, if you drive in Ann Arbor.
or whoever, you're not.
You drive in Ann Arbor, you get to a municipal lot, you put your debit card in, it's $2, the gate opens up, you drive in. You're great, you know, you get a little ticket, you pull up, whatever the case is. I mean, it happens everywhere. You're gonna find it in Birmingham, you're gonna find it in Rochester, Royal Oak, you're gonna find it in Ann Arbor.
But that would need to be part of the bigger project.
Oh, yeah, sure,
That's
that's
the
just,
bigger
that's why
project.
if we do hold off, we can have that conversation.
Right.
In the next handful, months or years going forward. So.
Mayor, I've got
And
some
then maybe
input
we
that I
could
want
do
you
that for
commission
Jimmy
to talk
John's in
about.
charge
It's
and
your
then
title
too.
officer.
You gotta
And
use
I
the
wanna
mic.
ask the Chiefs Commission to talk about.
Yeah, I don't.
Can you just go to Mike though,
Oh,
so we get you?
Yeah, your name, sir?
And address?
No, we just don't want people watching on video to not hear anything for 5 minutes.
Okay. There's one element that hasn't been brought up and you can't put on this parking lot, the secure parking lot, that hasn't really been talked about at this meeting and not a lot in the past. Couple of new council members, you weren't seated about 3, 4, 5 years ago. There was a very unpleasant event that took place in Utica involving an officer, and we got social media clobbered on it, to the point that the officers were receiving death threats, okay? People showing up, taking pictures of their personal vehicles, license plates, threatening to follow them home. If you look at some of the officers' social media accounts, you won't see any of their last names on there. That's tied into that. I think they should, the men and women of that police department should feel safe parking their car there, coming and going from work every day. And I think that that's part of your plan, and I think that's probably the most important part. I just don't want people to lose sight of that, and those that weren't seated at the time. You feel safe going to work most of the time, I hope, and going home, and, you know, you're getting death threats because of your occupation, and these folks that were doing that, we're actually going up to cars, and you can social media search this, TikTok search it, whatever. They're photographing inside police cars. Oh, you left your screen on. You're not wearing your seatbelt. You got a gun in the car. You got this. You got that. They were going inside people's cars, trying door handles. Please consider the safety of the men and women of that police department while you're making this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With what we got left, though, this year we couldn't do, if we decided to do that,
It's either the truck or the.
we wouldn't be
parking
doing the
lot.
whole secure project. It would be just a pad for now with no fence or
Or
keep
kind of, or like Lou was saying, maybe the millings and.
Or just even for parking, for extra parking for now, for the city, and keep your vehicles out front. And then when we decide to do it, now you have a secure area, at least it's already ready prepped to go. And some of the cost is already gone. You know, you get that base down properly, all I gotta do is asphalt over the top.
I am legitimately worried about running heavy equipment on this lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that is something we gotta think about. This lot is not,
You know,
if
this,
we, right now, we might get 3 years out, 5 years out of it. If we start running heavy equipment on it, maybe we get 2 years out of it.
it's really not that big of a project. You can probably bring small equipment in to do that, to get that prepped. You know, skid loader will do it in a 5 to 10 yard dump. We'll do that whole project. You don't have to get semis in here, you don't have to get a big loader in here, a dozer, none of that. That's just my opinion, but,
No, it's,
you know, I don't
It's
think you have
valid.
any issues with the asphalt if you brought some smaller stuff in. Like I said, it's not that big of a project. You know, hauling out and bringing it and hauling back in and just grading, getting a good grade down.
What are the dimensions, chief? The dimensions of the lot?
Give me a second, let me try and pull it up here.
And obviously, if we went that route, DPW can do the prep work. We would have to get somebody in to do the
The trees.
trees, because they're a little bit larger than what we would be able to handle in that area. But, you know, with the backhoe and, you know, getting it to grade for, you know, the asphalt if it comes in.
and you're sure you'd be good on no truck this year.
Well, I mean.
But then you're gonna want a truck next year, right? I mean,
Right, I mean, we had talked about, you know, the next one is the other one well, it is a parks vehicle, but it's under the street, maintenance, it's the 2002, it's kinda in the same, you know, they're in the same, we have a 1999, water truck, Rick's truck that he drove for, you know, his whole career here too, you know, that's on, you know, its last leg, nobody wants to take that one, but it doesn't get used as much, so I'm not as worried about it, but I did put that in the budget as well, but it was taken out. This is something that, you know, that's one, if something else is going down, then someone will take that truck.
So let me ask you, I'm gonna play, I'm not Ken, but I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. If you get a new truck this year, what I'm hearing is that you possibly need 2 new trucks. Are you gonna ask for
He
another
asked
new
for
truck?
two. He
I
asked
did
for
put
2.
one in for back-to-back, for next year as well.
Oh.
So, the wish list, when the mayor asked for, put on what, you know, your wants/needs, and, you know, those 3 vehicles, we have a 1999 water van, and that was Rick's everyday vehicle, the 2000, Ford 250, which is Brian's everyday vehicle, and then our flatbed, which is the 2002 Ford that is also used for parks, which is Joe's vehicle. That one, we would just need a chassis on it. We would retain the flatbed because there's nothing wrong with the flatbed on it, so.
So we would be needing a truck next year too.
Again, and those are wish lists, you know, we do
But at some point-
maintain our vehicles, right?
At some point, you're gonna
those
need it. I
are
mean,
gonna need it, right.
You're gonna need it, period,
Right.
because it's a 2000 truck. You're gonna
And-
need 2 of them at some point.
At some point, yes.
And that could be this year, next year, it could be next year and the year after.
So let's think about our options. Our options are hold off on the truck, which we know we're gonna have to revisit next budget year or the next budget year
And the next budget year.
and the next budget year. We'll hold off on the truck for now and just do a pad. That's all we would really probably be able to afford with what we got left. Because that's, didn't we say that was probably 70 grand just to get the pad, right?
Probably, yeah, and looking when you take the fence and the carport and stuff off, and, you know, the hard part is, these were numbers from November, so who knows, you know, kind of where the barometer's gonna lay and stuff.
So safely, if
So
we were
I would
gonna
say about
move,
safely, about 70 would probably be.
maybe to be safe, maybe we should say 80 then, right?
Yes.
So we're gonna rule out just the temporary asphalt millings?
Well, it wouldn't give us this, I don't know.
I think the fencing is the part that gives the most security.
Yeah.
And the only worry about the millings, at least I'm thinking, I don't know if my officers would want to park their personal vehicles on millings and stuff. So, what's that?
My guys do it every day.
I
You know,
don't,
I don't think millings
I-
is the way to go, quite honestly, either. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I would put I would put the asphalt.
Yeah, it sounds like either do it or don't. You know, either go with the project or just don't. A pad's not gonna really solve the problem. Pad solves some parking issues, but not a security issue.
Correct, yes.
And the main thing, I think, really is security, because we're getting along just fine with parking, we're getting by,
Right.
but really it's about security for you guys. Make sure that you have a safe space for your officers to park their vehicles in a kind of a restricted zone where, you know, this is where we park, this is where you park, as far as the city. So a fence is necessary, minimum.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, the project started out of, let's get a safe, secure place for our vehicles and
Yeah.
stuff, you know, so.
And-
And it's just, it's an additional bonus that it opens up the parking for the other businesses and stuff.
So I hate the idea of having not enough money just to do it all. You know, it's almost like at Christmas time, you gotta pick your favorite kid, give him the best gift.
I,
That's how
But
You do that?
it's not only that,
I never did that. That's not a thing, Tom.
Well, I have
That's
four- I have four
a
young-
Tom thing.
I have 4 yet too.
I
don't have beer
I would think, and I'm not in construction, but I would think doing it all at once, you either do it all at once, or if you, versus doing just the pad, cause I don't know about trying to lay the fence, trying to lay the carport, how much are you gonna mess up that parking lot that just got done, whereas if you do it all at once, now it's all, you know, you don't have to worry about anything settling or anything, you know, cracking or anything, you know.
I'm a proponent of doing it all at once, and I appreciate that, what you're saying, Randy, I really do. I appreciate it, but I'm also listening to what Mayor's saying and how bad our parking lot is, and it just doesn't make sense to do it piecework. It's gonna cost more money to do it piecework, and we may have to do it sooner because of the weight, and even though you're saying that it's not gonna weigh that much, Lou, we don't know that. We don't know what it's gonna bring, we don't know what it's gonna do. This is an old parking lot. You know, I think it was built in 95,
It hasn't been done since I've been here.
around there.
Hasn't done since you've been
You know, I don't know, I think that we should do the whole thing, do it the right way. The right way is not always the fun way, but at least then it's correct and it's all done at the same time.
So what does that look like? We continue to hopefully build our capital improvement fund with unassigned fund balance at the end of the budget year every year.
Mhm.
And as a board, we would have to just know that our goal is to do that at when that lot needs to be done, that we would be going to our capital improvement fund. Is that?
Yeah, that's
Are there
unfortunate.
grants out there
truth
for
of it
that?
all,
Is
right? Yeah,
that something we can get a
realistic.
grant for?
Maybe. Seems like a tough one to get.
Maybe because we're in,
I-
maybe it's covered under
Put some solar
brownfield.
power generators on the roof of your
Or it could be,
carports.
I wonder, Tom, if it would be a.
Maybe if it's a
We're
coal
brownfield,
powered
it's all
one, we can
brownfield
get
here.
it going.
Everything's
You
brownfield
know,
here.
maybe there's something about, there's some reach with your MADC.
Or, you know,
something.
secure, you know, some kind of
Security
Department of
factor, yeah.
Homeland Security. I mean, what Assistant Chief Plant said, it's legitimate. I
It's
mean,
legitimate.
I was getting death threats. I was getting told, when you wake up, be ready, your house is gonna be on fire, you
And I
know.
didn't mean anything I said. You're my friend, I take it back.
I thought it sounded a little bit like you.
You're like a little, I've hung up. It's,
I think we just have to decide which direction we wanna go, really.
yeah, I feel the timing's.
There, I mean, both projects, you know, the truck
They're both
I-
We're
urgent.
gonna have to get two.
they're both
Both
good,
urgent, yeah.
they're both urgent.
Realistically, we don't have the cash to do both the parking lot and the secured parking right now. We just don't.
No,
But we could do that through capital improvement plan, not this year. So
Right.
maybe we take care
Well,
of.
no, I mean, we do have the money in the capital improvement fund that we just put in there.
We don't know, we don't even know what it would cost to do.
We don't
this
know what the
parking
lot would cost, so
Yeah.
we would need to get engineering done on that. And
There's still some.
I'm frugal, right? We still got a couple years of
Still
life on this
remaining
lot. I don't wanna replace it before we absolutely want to. I'm not saying it's gotta be, pothole city,
Is there a
but there's
temporary,
2 or 3 years of life on that lot.
is there a temporary solution in securing a portion of the lot for our officers? Can we do something temporary? Can we do a carport on the, say, the south side of the lot? And can we do that? And
Like a
that car-
fenced in, secure
And
with
maybe
a
that
key
carport,
fob?
maybe that carport could be moved after the fact to the new lot? Years later, is there marriage here? Is there some
So-
middle ground?
I will say, this is how this started, and with me and him going out there trying to figure out how can we fence in the yard and stuff. That's really where a lot of this started, just
That's
going
kind of
out there.
where we
You know,
started.
was
we
like, hey, how can
snowballed.
we take a small little area out there? And actually, it was Judd Jones, one of my officers, that said, what about this grass over here?
It's a great
And I'm
spot.
like, I don't know, we'll see. Let's ask the mayor. That he just happened to pull up. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And then it just kind of grew
And we had a
from there.
quote, we had a quote within a week or something like that.
Chief, what if we run a fence off the corner by your Sally Port, going south for a certain number of feet, and giving you a secure fenced area in there for a few years until we could figure something out? And then we could do a lift gate or an arm, whatever the case may be, with that, because you could fit almost all the employees and your scouts there. Your employees and maybe the unused scouts in the mayor's office vehicle or employees, could that work off the south Sally Port corner wall?
I mean, that's what we tried doing was to figure out how many spaces we would need and how many spaces we would do. To be honest, I think you're better just waiting and doing
do
this
it?
lot
Okay.
separately. I think you're spinning too many wheels to get all that done.
I get it. I'm just trying to find a way to make you guys feel like you have a secure space, and then later on we can do something, I'm trying to satisfy both
Right.
needs in that thought train. Okay, I'm with you, and I appreciate that you realize we don't always have the money to do what we want to do. We'll get what we need, but not always what we want. So,
Paul, you've been quiet. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking you do it all at one time. The whole lot.
Which means wait
Yep.
until we have to hit that big lot. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Lou, do you have strong feelings either way?
No, it's fine with me. I mean, that's probably a smart way to do it.
well, in that case, would they just go over, you have a construction experience, what would they do? They just cap this, or would they tear it all up?
They
We'd
mill
probably
it.
build it.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the problem. That existing parking lot was there when I came here in '92. It was milled and capped. They didn't mill it down to the dirt. They just ground off a couple inches and capped it. So who knows what the real condition is underneath there? I have no idea what.
I can
I
tell you
wasn't
what
here
the
when
dirt
they
is
put
by my
base
tower.
You came in what year?
'92.
You just said that, sorry.
So for 30 some odd years, it's held up pretty well.
Well, this grade
It's
out
at
here
the
is
end of its
all
life.
sand and gravel,
It's
so
at the
we
end
got a
of
really
its
good
life.
drainage and good solid base.
This place
So
was built on a
You'd see
landfill,
dips
so-
all over the place if you had a bad base out here. I don't think that's the condition of that. It's more just kind of disintegrating.
Yeah, I mean, the asphalt's just seen its time. I mean, it seems like, there's no dips, like Lou saying.
At the American Legion, I know I keep bringing it up, but we're neck deep in trying to get that lot fixed right now. So, my experience is just reflecting that. There's a lot of base issues over there, but you can see it. There's dips, like Lou's saying. There's you could see that there's localized areas where it just dipped and disintegrated to literally like gravel. It's not even, we've got spider cracks, which are, the first sign that it's gonna go bad quick. But over there, it's just great. Remember Hecker near Messmore? I'm sure you when you drove patrols over there, you know what I'm talking about, until we repaved it. It turned into just gravel. I mean, it just disintegrated, and the base was garbage too. I think if they mill, none of us are experts, but I think if there was serious issues with the base, we'd be seeing that right now. We're not
Well, I
seeing
mean,
it.
it's a real big cost too, if you take the whole thing out and rebase it.
The Legion right now is, I think, what did I say, like?
300?
300 to 350,
Just
no,
for the-
300 I think is,
For the Legion?
yeah.
Wow.
Really?
But they have curbed islands,
Yeah.
that's included, and the base issue, there's a lot of known base issues.
When Phil says that 32 years ago, they milled it and capped it, and it lasted this long, that's money well worth paying. So, I mean, I think they did the same process, and came back and lasted another 32 years, fantastic, or whatever it's gonna turn out to be whenever we do that. I don't think there's much, my guess would be there wouldn't be much more. Maybe a construction guy would try to sell you more, but it seems like 32 years of usefulness out of that, seems amazing. We're fortunate.
Yeah, I would agree.
Is there any way to partner with Jimmy John's, since they're already gonna be building a parking lot and structure right across the street, that we might be able to add space for city workers in the police department?
Over there,
Yeah.
my guess is they would not.
Wouldn't.
That's always been one of their issues. When they came to us with their initial designs, it was very apparent what they were doing. They were trying to preserve every parking spot they could and build as little bit of a footprint. The planning commission did not let them proceed with that plan, and they had to increase the footprint. So I'm guessing they would never support that. Parking is like, no matter what you mention to these people, the first thing they say is parking, that's gonna impact my parking, that's gonna take parking spots, so. But, I mean, I like Tom Dion's ideas, the big picture is, and I think we would need a consultant from like a fence and security company. When we do, if that's the route we go, if we do the big lot, some kind of arm where, you get validated if you're coming to visit the city hall, you get validated if you're going to the bars and restaurants, or you pay if you're going to Jimmy John's,
Yeah, otherwise you pay $2,
right?
whatever the case is.
Yeah, whatever it is. And that's just for the main lot.
Say
And
for
then you have
the whole
another
lot, and
security
then- okay,
arm
Okay, so,
for the pad.
so the whole lot here pay, which. you
That's
know,
the idea I like.
Everybody's used to paying, I go to football games, it's $60 down in Detroit, so a couple of bucks is.
Well, if you're going to Mr. McGall's or if you're going to Shamrock, you don't pay. You
Right.
get that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that would work.
Randy has something to say.
Oh, no, it's just,
No.
for the secure lot, an arm wouldn't do it, you gotta keep pedestrians out, so it'd be a gate.
It'd be
Yeah.
like at
Well,
DPW. it'd be
This
the-
lot back here.
Yeah.
But the first lot would be.
It would just be an arm.
Yeah.
But we would want a consultant to tell us, what's the best application for what we're trying to do here.
Or there's no arm, you got parking.
Yeah.
They have
That's the
those
way they
apps
do
and
it
stuff.
everywhere.
Parking,
It's just, you put your
kiosk.
credit card and you tell them
Yeah,
I'm in spot
I'm in spot
12.
35, and but the hard part about that's enforcing it. That's things you don't have a.
Yeah, then you have to
person.
have them. Then you
Yeah,
have to-
it's-
Yeah, no.
That's a whole nother story though for another day.
So where are we at, folks?
It sounds like trucks, or the
Sounds like
docket for
trucks to me.
purchase.
Lou, is
Yeah,
that,
I'm good. Yeah.
trucks?
Yeah.
Paul?
I am.
Not trucks, truck.
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 A
Singular.
truck- A truck this year and a truck next year.
I see him getting, I saw his eyes.
Excited there.
But we really, I mean, as we're all gonna be together for a while, we really have to, keep a focus on, we know that this project is needed, everything Assistant Chief said is 100% true. We need to have a goal of giving our police, our city employees, I mean, I remember when we were going through the incident that Assistant Chief's talking about, I was worried about our city people when they would leave the building. I would look out the window, like, are any of those people here to harass them? So it's really not just police, it's everyone, anyone that's affiliated with the city. Even, residents leaving the city office, so, I mean, we can't just say, okay, well, and move on. I mean, I think we have to keep it, for a forethought. We know this is what we're doing this year, but our end goal has to be to get that big lot done and to build a secure parking area behind City Hall for our police and city employees.
And to be careful with our budget so that we can put money into the capital improvement plan so that we have money there. We have to be very cautious and very careful.
And I would say,
That's all you guys too.
We could take 70 from a truck to put away for next year.
75.
So we wait 3 years, and then on year 4, we gotta buy 3 trucks, right?
I did back you know. We did start that project together out there.
Is there anything else we've missed here before we commit $75,000?
No?
Chief Wilsack, fire, I know you probably had the most thorough look, because you came back with some adjustments, so you're,
We could use a pickup truck too, we're trying to get that through the grant,
right.
so,
In order to replace the current, the Echo,
yeah, that's a 17 already.
how many miles you got, I think? I know you guys drive it.
60?
Really?
And you know, the idle time was the big.
Oh, I can imagine, yeah.
Power unit.
Chief Klusny, is there anything we missed?
No, there's nothing from my.
Phil, from your perspective, are we missing any big picture items here?
I can think of.
Lori, for city admin, I think you're covered, right?
And we're getting iPads, so I'm pretty excited.
And we got
Thank you, Tom.
and Lori got a great price, a lot less than what we thought. The pads, tablets,
What would we get?
we didn't get them, we gotta wait till July 1st. for the-
Yeah, of course, what did you get?
I'll tell you later, it's a surprise.
Oh, it's Alex surprise, thank you.
As Simon says, remember the 4,
That's too good for me.
so we're not voting, right? We'll be voting on the budget when in its final form, but are we in general agreement then that we're gonna allocate $75,000 for a truck, and that would go in streets?
Yep.
Is that right, Bill?
Parks.
Parks.
And that's a truck with plow.
With plow, yep.
So is that 75 gonna cover the plow as well?
The quotes that I have been under 75.
With a plow?
As of right now, with a plow, yep. Because it's just a service truck, there's not a bunch of bells and whistles.
Is that like a 3,500 or something? What kind of truck?
20, well, like 250, I
Is it-
think was.
is it a Ram?
Is it replacing?
Is that a Ram?
The quotes that I've got so far are for a Chevy and a Ford.
Okay.
That's good.
I got 69,190.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Since you guys are doing that.
So Phil, just to make sure we're, because I know you're gonna be doing the heavy lift here, making this all right. I've got 5,000 for fire insurance. Got 5,000 for police meeting and training.
Yep,
Got 15,000 for a hoist.
yep,
I've got 3,000 for the bucket,
yep,
and I've got 75,000 for a truck
yep,
in parks.
that's what I got.
So that takes us from our net revenue of, what did I say it was? I've lost that sheet.
172, 190.
Here it is.
Is that it?
Yeah, 172, 190, down to a net revenue of 69, 190.
And that's what I come up with as well.
Any last words?
Good job.
So let's talk about the process, and I think it probably would be Tom, Faith, and Phil. I was very concerned with this process along the way, and I kept asking Phil, is this really making your life better? Is it really making it better for the residents that we're actually trying to fit stuff into the budget? And I think Phil, why don't you tell us, is this new process, give us your, don't let me speak for you. How do you feel about this new process? Was it effective? Is it making your life harder, easier?
I think that, in general, the process is more efficient than what we were doing before. My comment to the mayor earlier this week was trying to do it in April was a bad idea. Because April is the beginning of a new quarter, which means I'm closing out last quarter. I've got a whole bunch of quarter end stuff that has to get accomplished. And I've lost a few more pieces of hair due to that. So I think it would have been more realistic to have been shooting to get this done in May instead of trying to finish it up in April. But I think, at least from my perspective, it was a lot more efficient doing it this way. rather than holding multiple meetings with different departments on Tuesday evenings for 6 weeks in a row. I think that was a waste of a lot of time, especially since I was always here for all of those meetings, even though it was only 2 departments a night.
Right.
So from my perspective, I think this was a much more efficient way to go.
Did it serve our residents better, you think? I mean, it seems like we were able to look at things more realistically and actually get things done for the residents in a more efficient way, I think. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so. If we're spending less time overall working on it, it means we're working on other things more, that are more important. But the other thing is that by having the revenues up front, we weren't in a position where we've been in the past where the council was saying, okay, just cut 20% out of everybody's budget to balance, you know, this was, you had the department heads prioritize their needs,
And I'm looking at, we stuck to it pretty good. I'm looking at the top
it
priorities.
certainly saved the council a lot of meetings. Right?
What-
We used to hold 6 meetings
Yeah.
to do this. You've held, what, 2 meetings?
I miss them.
But when I
They were so
started,
fun, no?
What do you think, Tom? Is this process?
No, this is streamlined. Gus, there's no reason for us to have to do the prior meetings, like Phil was saying, the 6 prior. This is great. You got everything worked out. Obviously, everyone, you have the trust of the council that you know what you're doing. You've streamlined things to the point where you've had the conversation that we would have with them here, already in the office during the work week. And this has been great, seriously. I mean, our city's healthy and thriving because of the work that you've done, so you've got the trust of the council and the trust of the people. You're doing great.
Well, that's my concern, is I want to make, and I told Phil this, I don't want this to, all 7 of us would sit up here for 6 weeks. The problem was we were arbitrarily cutting things because we didn't even know what the bottom line was yet.
Well,
Right.
you sit in that office every day, and you talk to the employees every day. You know the needs more than anyone here. We show up a couple times a month, have conversations. Our hand is not on the pulse of the city. You know what we need. The conversations you have, hey, this is broken, hey, I need this. You know. And then you
But
give to
we're
us.
bored, and I don't ever want it to
It's
be
not-
perceived
And
that,
that's 100% not the case at all. Everyone here knows that we can fight you on it. Right? I don't like this. We've had these conversations. But I think everyone here realizes the work that's been put in this is actual real work. We've had the opportunity to look at the budget. I think you're spot on. I think you're doing a great job.
Faith,
well, I
this
agree.
process versus the old process.
Versus the old process. Back in the day, well, Chief, you remember that when we were with Mayor Noonan, it was similar to this, except that we didn't know the bottom line yet. But she would meet with the department heads and then come back to us with basically something like this. I like what you're doing here, because we are seeing what you've asked for. We are seeing what the mayor has already cut for us and what our options are. We've discussed our options of what we could bring it back. Sorry, you're not getting the parking lot, but
Yet.
yet, but, it's like we're having a discussion that's a real discussion about what's happening, not just, okay, we're doing this or this, and it was all predetermined. When we did line by line, it was so
Arduous.
regimented, it's redundant.
And how
it's
many times
wasted
did,
time.
Chief have to tell us, well, there's a revenue associated with that, and you can't cut.
Yes.
It would be like a loop,
This is
No,
the only way
I
it should
think
be.
the way we're doing it now is very efficient, and the meetings are not really too long. Now, we all know that I don't like long meetings, sorry, Tom, you killed me when you were mayor, but,
Sorry.
But to Phil's point, we're not gonna make the May meeting. Phil and I have pretty much come to the conclusion. That's why we kinda did it now. We were thinking, let's just get it done in May. We're not gonna make it. So I built in a few weeks in case this process just blew up and we had to go back to, we would have had to gone to Tuesday and Thursday meetings to get back on track if this process just didn't work. So I built about 3 weeks into it, we didn't need to. To Phil's point, we need to wait. We need to wait till we get accurate revenue numbers from Tom Agruso. We need to wait to give Phil longer time to get that compiled budget, so we have that bottom line, that net revenue number. I really did have to push Phil more than I wanted to with everything else he has to do to get the spreadsheets that I needed. So next year, the process will move up probably, 3 weeks, I would guess, right, Phil, at least? And we'll come up with numbers. If everybody likes this, it'll be the same format, an initial meeting where we throw everything against the wall, and then individual meetings with the department heads with me, and getting everything prioritized, and then a final meeting like this one where we hash out whatever we need to hash out.
And I appreciate all your hard work, because I know how much hard work that you're putting in to get this ready for us.
Well, there were 2 weekends where I'm like, Phil, I need this Friday night, because my plan is to come in Saturday and Sunday and work on this all day.
Yeah, so thank you.
And he would call me, what are you doing? I see your white car on Saturday at 7. What's going on?
I wanted to actually, you want to have a nice relaxing soda pop, and you weren't available. Hey, so I can tell you from having been in multiple other cities' meetings and in the municipality where I work, the city manager just handles everything. The city manager meets with the heads, department heads, and he brings it to council, and they're like, that looks great. And they glad hand it, and it's done. Which is fine, because the city manager has his thumb on the pulse, right? And the council looks at it, and it all makes sense, then why mess with the process? I think you've done a great job. This is probably the only way we should have been doing it for a long time. So I think it's fantastic.
Thanks, Tom. How'd this work for you, Lou? Any comments on this process?
Well, it was never in another budget.
Right, I mean-
But, yeah, no, I think everything went pretty smooth. Everything's transparent. We had a couple meetings prior to that. I've talked to you a couple times.
Right.
Yeah, we were pretty smooth.
Paul?
When I first met with you, you said plan on 6 Tuesdays, other than the meeting nights, that we'd be meeting, and we didn't need to do it because it was all put together ahead of time, so.
And it worked for you?
I think it was perfect.
You don't feel like you were included in the
I don't feel I was
process?
slighted on any of the knowledge.
That's
And
important.
Like Tom said, we can always ask if we had questions, and
And the numbers speak for themselves. Look at
Right,
our
I mean, we know what the
budget. Look at our
numbers
budget.
are. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
everything's
no
out there.
mystery.
Yeah, numbers.
How about department heads? Guys, any input? Was this process a little bit better for you guys, worse?
I think it was a lot easier doing it this route. It was a lot less stressful than not running around for stuff.
And if we
You know,
push
we
it
met with
back a
you.
few weeks, it's gonna even be less
Yeah.
stressful for you and Phil.
Yeah, because it was smooth, as I thought, so,
Okay.
smooth as it's ever been since I've been here.
Yeah.
So,
We didn't know
Yes, it
better
was.
before. Now we have a new way.
We're
no,
learning.
like you said, you came in and they just cut, and then it's like, okay, what do we gotta go back through and do it again? Well, we did that before we even presented it to you, so
Right.
I think it was a great idea.
Chief Klusny?
Yeah, just kind of piggyback in my experience of, prior with Sean working on the budgets and how just arbitrary cuts would come or things would get taken out, at least giving us the opportunity, the 3 of us, 4 of us here to argue for, and say, hey, we really need this, this, I can give up my parking lot, so this guy gets a new truck to drive around, I'm okay with that, but no, having the ability to come up here and at least argue for what we think is more needed for our department, or what can we look at down the road. I would ask if I can get some more PowerPoint time next year, like, my 10-minute time frame, if I can get like 15, 20.
Yeah, maybe we don't need the time limit, maybe we could put that aside,
Perfect,
right?
and I won't push it to an hour, but.
I think you were the only one that
Chief
got
last.
close, though, to the time limit, if I remember.
No,
right.
I think questions push me to the time, so. But no, overall, I think it went good, even though I came out a loser today.
Bill, how about you? Did the process work for you?
Being my only second budget process through the city, I like this a lot too. Obviously, I leaned on Phil a lot last year, being the first time, and the notes that were left for me weren't the greatest. So this helped out, being able to speak with you, see your reasoning behind everything, Phil's reasoning behind anything, where to put things. So definitely thought I was was a great process. It can only get better, right? Because it's gonna be a smooth oiled machine.
And Phil and I have been talking about ways to make it more efficient and make it less of a headache for him, you know. So it'll be very similar next year. It sounds like that we're gonna continue this way. Be very similar, there'll be some minor tweaks just to make it even more efficient. But thank you. I'm glad this worked. We didn't need that 3 weeks of time I built into it just in case, so I'm happy about that.
Gus, you're the best mayor the city has seen since 2021. And I mean it, and I mean it. Great work, no, seriously, great
Thanks,
work.
man.
You're doing a great job.
Any,
How much do we have in the capital?
That's enough out of you, sir.
How much do we have in the capital plan?
we have the 1.5 we moved, and then we had, Phil, offhand, do you know what is in the capital improvement plan right now? We know we got the 1.5, but there was
There was about 600,000 that we had put in previously from senior housing.
senior housing.
Senior housing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we have another,
Wait, he's,
we have another 300 and some thousand in an assigned fund balance for capital improvements that I'm gonna bring to the board, to the council to move over into that other committed fund balance. So,
1.8.
that was left over from the DDA,
yeah, that was that DDA money.
yeah.
So, yeah, no,
3.3, yeah.
so,
It's there.
we're building it, we're building
Oh,
it.
rental.
All right, any final words, folks?
Good job, Gus.
Thank you, everybody.
You're not
Oh, wait, we got what else? No communication from the public,
That could be, the tower.
and we don't really vote to adjourn because this is a work session, not a meeting. So we're all done.